All right. I believe this is titled, If We as Humans Stop Associating Ourselves with Everything, we would feel a lot more free. And I've been recently having this realization that we tend to overly associate in this lifetime. And I feel like that's also the trick that people be talking about like the English language. But the fact of the matter is that we tend to overly associate. So like when it comes to personality traits and things like that, we overly associate. And I feel like it's something that we just naturally learned how to do. And so it doesn't seem like it's wrong until you start to realize, like, hold on, this isn't right. So we have this tendency to overly associate with everything, even just personality traits, to the point where we'll be like, oh, I am nice, or I'm not that nice, or I am this, or I am that. Think about all the ways that you choose to identify yourself. Like, I am this, I am that. And realizing that when you choose these things, you also like kind of force it on yourself. It's manifestation, right? So it's kind of like you're forcing that. So if you like, I'm not one to be played with, then every time that when a scenario comes and somebody plays with you, you always keep telling yourself, I'm not one to be played with. I'm not one to be played with. And then the moment comes somebody play with you and you really pop off, because like you said, you're not one to be played with. But suppose that pop off scenario, it just wasn't necessary. Suppose it wasn't necessary, or just to say, I'm nice, I'm nice, I'm nice. And then to the point where you start to feel like you're too nice. You overgive, you overdo, people walk all over you, because that's a common way that you choose to identify yourself. So I'm realizing that my emperor always used to say, I'm everything and I'm nothing. And I'm really starting to learn what being nothing is, because at first I didn't like it. I didn't like that he said it, and I wouldn't say it to myself. I wouldn't tell myself I'm nothing, because I felt like that was insulting to myself. But at the same time, I would tell myself like, oh, I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like in my back days, I'll be like, I'm that bitch, or I'm this, or I'm just, or even just saying I'm not, like, oh, I'm just not that patient. Like, oh, I just can't, like, I'm just not, you know what I'm saying? I'm realizing that as I say these things, I'm saying it and I'm creating the excuse for myself for me to exude this trait. Because once I say it, and of course, if I choose to associate myself with that thing, then I'm actually working harder to make sure that I'm actually the embodiment of the things that I associate myself with. But it's like, what am I associating myself with? Are the things that I'm associating myself with actually beneficial to my growth and my being? Or am I just associating myself with feeble energies and emotions and words and characteristic traits that are in no way beneficial to my evolution as a being? You know what I'm saying? So I'm learning not to just keep being like I am or I'm not. I'm quick to tell you, I'm not that nice. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that friendly. I don't really like people like that. I don't really like crowds. And so after telling myself this for so long, as soon as too many people was around, I'm like, I don't want to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm training myself to be these things that I'm saying. And I'm realizing how unbeneficial it is to my being to continue to keep like training myself and keep associating myself with these words and these emotions that are in no way just like beneficial to me as a person. And then the other thing is that, so I'm saying, like, if we stop associating ourselves with all these words and these personality traits and these, you know, these identifiers, we would feel a lot more free as people. If I stop associating myself with not being a nice person, I don't have to feel weird if I'm being nice, or I don't have to feel like a contradiction if I say I'm not that nice, but I'm really not, and I'm actually being nice. Or I don't have to feel like a contradiction if I say I'm not one to play with, and, you know, in a rude way, and then somebody plays with me. But instead of me being in my old ghetto train of thought, like, I'm not one to play with, so as soon as you try me, I gotta buck back. You know what I'm saying? I learned to just be calm, because even though I'm not one to play with, so to say, that doesn't mean that I have to maneuver a certain type of way. And then over that association as well, it's just like we overly associate ourselves with the things we go through as people. Like, we literally let these things define I knew that was coming. We literally let these things define who we are as people. So we've been through this. Oh, my mother never gave me hugs, so I'm not a hugger. You know what I'm saying? Or my people never showed me affection, so I'm not affectionate. We always constantly, we just let these things, and then we always constantly got to tell somebody what we've been through too sometimes. Like, when I was this years old, this happened to me. And so as a result to that, thank you, as a result to that, I am this way or I am that way. And we start to overly associate ourselves with the things that we go through as people, that we're not really doing the soul work. We're not really fulfilling the mission. We're just staying traumatized by the things that we went through because we overly associate ourselves with those things. So when we learn how to go through something and get through it and then put it down, it's so much more beneficial to our being, as opposed to carrying this with me. Oh, I'm not really fit to be a mother because my mom passed away when I was 3. So, you know, we because everything is a ripple effect. So if we continue to let the things that we've been through dictate who we are, you know, it's very limiting of who we really can be. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we all do. I feel like I've even done it. I'm just now getting to the point where I'm realizing that all the ways that I've associated myself with, like, I've always associated myself with being very stern, with being like very real, with being probably like very blunt, to the point where it could come off aggressive or mean or like harsh in a way of telling the truth. I've associated myself with these words for so long that I jump at it. Anytime I see an opportunity to show that trait, I jump at showing it because I've associated that with myself. And then, though, through this association, I'm realizing that I associated myself with these words based on the things that I've been through. And how the fuck am I supposed to heal and let go of my traumas if I'm constantly, still to this day, associating myself? Like, I've made my traumas build core characteristic traits for myself that I embody for the rest of my life. So in that way, there's no evolution. I cannot grow. You know what I'm saying? If I allow these traumas to then build core characteristic traits for myself that I then continue to embody. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, oh, because I think there's nothing wrong with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to stop associating ourselves. And I think that's why we talk a lot about how the English language is like the curse language, you know what I'm saying, of most of them, because we always constantly saying, I am this and I am that. And we trying to explain somebody, how are you doing? Oh, I am this, or I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm sad, or I'm angry. We constantly just always like putting everything on ourselves regularly when we talk. And regularly, like, if we just trying to introduce ourselves to somebody. That's why I've always hated bios, because it's like, there's no way I can just introduce you to me like that. Like, it's that is very hard for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's literally no way I can introduce me through just a little bit of words to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we find a way to do it. And how do we do it? We say, well, my name is this, and I am this, and I am that, and I am this. And I'm starting to realize we overly associate, even with the zodiac signs and stuff like that, we overly associate, oh, I'm a Libra. And we read it. Libra has this trait. Libra is airy. Libra is the balance. Libra is the scales. Libra is materialistic. Libra is sassy and this and the third. So then we have to embody that. You know what I'm saying? We have to. Or, oh, I'm an Aries, so I'm hot-headed and I'm impulsive, and we read these things, and so we have to embody them. We feel like we have to be the embodiment of this, and then also we feel like it's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's justification for us to not grow or to stay at a certain level, because that's just the circumstances, right? Like, victim to the circumstances type of thing. But I'm realizing that as I'm growing to heal, that I don't need to associate myself with anything. So I am not a Libra. I am not an Aries. You know what I'm saying? I am not even my name. You know what I'm saying? Because on a soul level, every time I leave and I come back, like I reincarnate, I have a different name. I've had millions of names. So I can sit here and be so proud and say this name, but I am not this name. I am not this skin. I am not these facial features. I am not like skinny or whatever the fuck you want to call me to associate it, or whatever I want to call myself to associate it. I am nothing. I am none of these things. On a soul level, how many people can really tell me what their soul is? Like, really tell me what your soul is. Like, who is your soul? Your soul doesn't have nothing to do with your complexion. It doesn't have nothing to do with your hair texture. It has nothing to do with you have a tendency to be snappy or impatient. Your soul has literally nothing to do with none of that stuff. So really, who are you? And if you can't look at yourself, it's almost a trick question, but if you can't look at yourself and say who you are on a soul level without identifying just strictly with what you see right in front of you when you look into the mirror right now, then you truly don't know who you are. You know what I'm saying? And then so we're just wasting time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I realize more and more that this is all wasting time. So it all makes sense what they talk about the Matrix and the simulation and all that stuff. Like I'm talking about the actual movie Matrix and the simulation and stuff like that, because it's just like, we wasting time. Like, we're not doing anything at all. We're just sitting here pretending, you know what I mean? Eating fake food and working to attain things that aren't real our entire lives. You know what I'm saying? To live at a certain standard or to be seen in a certain way. And it doesn't make sense. And I will say that you can't identify yourself based on how other people view you, because of course as children, especially children who are associated to a whole bunch of other negative people, which is almost everyone is negative, because it's like, how can they not be when this is just what's taught in the world? And so like kids who go to school, kids who have all this association, even our family, you know what I'm saying? We end up associating ourselves with so many negative random people, and then it's like we begin to describe ourselves as that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like letting it go. Like, you don't have to be anything. You don't have to be anything at all to be yourself right now, to operate in your human vessel. You don't have to overly identify with any trait or any trauma to exist. And I feel like we feel like we do. Like, I felt like I did at a point in time. I still feel like I do sometimes. You know, I couldn't even wrap my head around it when my husband would sometimes just be like, stop saying you are this, you are that. And I'm like, I'm just telling you, you know what I'm saying, that I am this. And it's like, you know, yeah, how do I stop? But yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to save this.